artists. So today we get to finish, finally, yes, finally finish our outer space picture, our spacescape. So gather all your papers from the last few weeks, get some glue, some scissors, and one black crayon, and let's get started. So we've been working a lot on our papers. We've been working on this, I think this is our third art time. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to create, this was a happy little accident. My yellow was still wet when I did the black, and it kind of makes it look like it's glowing. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. Remember, if one of these things didn't turn out or you just don't like it, you don't have to use it in the final project. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to add some value to make these look a little more 3D. Right now they're kind of a little bit flat because they don't have any shadows on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an old crayon here that doesn't have any, oops, that was almost a mistake there. I almost had a purple. Okay, so I'm testing it on here because I know I'm going to cut this off later. What I'm going to do is I'm first going to outline, and if you want to do this with pencil, you can, but I'm using crayon because it actually goes a little faster. So you outline your object first, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to use the side of my crayon, and since this is a sphere, I am going to kind of add a shadow. Notice I'm following the shade. It doesn't matter to me if it gets outside. I'm just going to use that. Now, if you're doing a really small object like this, you may have to use the tip, but you're going to have to just be very careful not to make it look like lines. You want to make sure it's just a little darker and then gets lighter. So I'm going to do that on all of my spheres. Anything that is a whole sphere or part of a sphere, I'm going to do that. Even a little in here. And I'm going to do it, this is really like just part of one big sphere, so I'm going to do it over here on this. I usually get somebody about right now asking me, do I have to do the shading part? Yes, you do, because the shading part is what's really going to make it look a little bit more realistic. I'm going to add a little shadow on the side. These are like little short cylinders, and then this would be open, so it's going to be darker on that side. So dark on the open part, opposite of this outside part. I'm also going to shade this cylinder of my rocket. Starts off dark and then gradually get lighter. Oh, I've got a little piece of salt under there left over from when we did the salt the other day. So everything on my picture on the left is getting a little bit of a shadow. Okay? All right, even on this little dish part, I'm going to do that. Okay, so now once you have everything with shadows, you are going to take your scissors and you're going to cut out the things that you want to have in your picture. Now remember, you don't have to use all of them, but you do have to have this big one across the bottom, so make sure you cut that one out. You do need to have one other planet. If you want to use 2 or 3 planets, that's fine, but make sure you get at least one. And remember, both hands have a job when you're cutting. One hand is to turn, and the other hand is to cut and control the scissors. Don't lose your pieces. I really like this one with the rings around it. Now when you're cutting, you also want to make sure you're getting right on the edges. You don't want to leave any of the white paper showing because it's going to look funny when we put it on the other one. I don't know, I'm having a hard time choosing. I think on this one I'm going to do for sure my UFO. I really like how that one turned out this time. I might do that satellite dish yet too. I have to see how it looks if I've got the room. All right, so I'm going to use this paper, the one that we did with the marker. So what you want to do when you've got yours done, you're going to add glue. Make sure you get right along the edges. I always do the big one first. That way I don't accidentally cover up something else I really like later on. Match the corners. And then I like to turn it over and give it a nice rub. Make sure you're getting it to stick really good. And then move on to the next one. You know, the neat thing is you can do some overlapping too. You can make it look like some planets are behind other things. Like maybe, I feel like I need something else. So I am going to add my other, where'd my other little planet go? I'm gonna for sure add this other little planet. Oh, I like that. And I think I want to add the rocket too. The nice thing is you can kind of play with this and arrange things so that they look nice in your picture. When you're gluing things on, make sure your planets all have the shadow on the correct side so that it doesn't look confusing. All right, remember, you don't have to use all your things. If you didn't want to, you certainly don't have to. I will show you some more of mine when this video is over, so make sure you stay tuned to the end. All right, so I've shown you how to do the shading and the cutting for the marker technique one, but you also should do some shading on your colored ones if you did one with crayon too. So what you do is basically the same thing. You take your black and you add a shadow to one side, really dark, and then let it fade out. It's going to have a different sort of look when you do this, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong or bad. So not one is better than the other. So I'm going to shade all of these things just like I was doing with the marker. I'm going to choose some, just like before. You can choose some of those to put onto yours. When I get all done today, making all my outer space pictures, I am going to, my spacescapes, I'm going to show you what they look like at the end of this video. So make sure that you stay tuned and all the way to the end, because they're all going to have a kind of a different look about them depending which art materials I use. So, hope you've had fun and stay creative. Bye.